Are you ready to get the inside scoop of awesome trainings that I only do for our top leaders? Private trainings that I have never released before? If so, you're in the right place, because if you are ready to understand the mindset of a millionaire, if you are ready to truly say to yourself, how can I change my thinking? How can I improve? How can I open myself up for possibilities like never before? Then you're in the right place and you want to keep watching, because in this 5-video series, I'm sharing with you exactly what helped me go from a hot mess to a success, what helped me go as somebody who thought she had absolutely no chance of ever living and traveling like people she's only seen in movies do, to now making that a more permanent lifestyle. And so if that's exactly what you're excited to do, then don't just watch this video, but watch all the videos in this series so that you too can gain the inside scoop that I've only ever revealed to our top leaders in our company. So without further ado, watch this now. Welcome everyone. I see that a few more have joined. So hey everybody, my name is Ilean Harris and I am so thrilled to be here with you guys on day 5. Okay, day 5 of our Millionaire Mindset series. I can't believe how time has flown. I can't believe how quickly our time together goes, because these are things that are just game changers. These are things that have changed my life. These are things that have truly opened up a whole new world for me. And I want you guys to experience the same success and more and more. And I want you guys helping more and more people as much as possible. And so today, to do so, we're going to talk about vision casting and goal setting. Vision casting and goal setting is so important, you guys. And most people say, well, you should have started the week with, well, not most people say, most people could say, you should have started the week with setting goals, right? And I did want you guys to start thinking about your goals, to start focusing on your goals. But the reason we're talking about vision casting now, why it's so important to revisit your goals now, is because guess what? You have now explored deeper parts of your mindset. We have talked about being a high performer. So I imagine that this week, you guys got out of your own way. You guys made more space for your success, that you truly positioned yourself to have time for what's important, to prioritize your dreams, your aspirations. On day 2, we talked about mental strength and emotional intelligence. Did you guys find yourself giving a little less significance to your fears or to obstacles that came your way, or to maybe a little jab somebody took at you, or a blunt, a straight up hater online that was just completely inappropriately putting you down? Did you find yourself just a little bit better off to handle it? And then on day 3, we talked about wealth consciousness, where we focus on fighting poverty, not each other, right? Instead, we can uplift each other and grow straight to the top, and knowing that there is more than enough space for everyone to win at the top. You know, it's a very common known thing that if you put a ton of crabs in a bucket and all these crabs are climbing other ones to get out, the ones at the bottom aren't going to say, great, get out there and then pull us out. They're going to pull them back down. And so while the crabs could just crawl out of the bucket, they stay in the bucket because they pulled each other right back down. And so you learned how to come out of that crab mentality and start thinking big and start growing. Yesterday, day 4, oh my goodness, that was intense. We really talked about coping with fears like a millionaire. Okay, coping with those what if thoughts, how to course correct. We all get those little thoughts of going, what could go wrong? How do I prepare for worst case scenario? Am I taking too big of a risk? But it's not that a millionaire has this great situation going and they never get those thoughts, is that they know how to correct them. They know how to say, no, this is going to work out. They know how to problem solve. So even if they come up with a problem, they're focusing on the solutions, not what could be the problem or what is the problem. And so now with that information, now is when you're actually in a good place to even talk about vision casting and moving forward. Okay, it is really, really important, you guys. You have got to take the time to clear out, the thoughts that don't belong there, so that there is space for the vision of what's coming. Have you ever bought clothes and you're saying to yourself, oh, I'll try them all on after maybe I take a shower? So let's say you go to the gym, you work out, you're sweaty, you're icky, then you do some gardening work outside, and you're kind of messy, you're kind of sweaty. And this beautiful suit or this beautiful dress comes in the mail or gets delivered or is ready from the tailor. Is that moment when you're icky and sweaty and dirty? Maybe your hands are muddy. I know I've been gardening recently, so there may be dirt under my nails. Is that the time to try on those beautiful new clothes that just arrived? No, right? You're going to take a shower. You're going to clean up, and then maybe, you'll be able to try on those clothes. I remember when I was little, my mom wouldn't even let me sit on the furniture until I was showered from playing outside. And in our mindset, there are moments where it's just not right to skip ahead and think that in the murkiness of our fears, of our stress, of insecurities, of self-defeating thoughts that are just not serving us, to think that in that moment it's best to just jump into goal setting. And that is why I'm so proud of you for being here, because you should give yourself credit and you should celebrate that you are still here, you're still standing on day 5, that you have shown up for yourself, that you're smart enough not to just work in your business, but to work on your business, and to know that people don't join companies, people join people. So to think that as long as your website is okay, as long as your social media feed is perfect, that it's completely okay for you to never improve, for you to never grow, you're going to have a rude awakening in reality, that you're going to see that no matter what you do, no matter how many followers you have, no matter what is going on, okay, you, my friend, are going to find, and this isn't my opinion, this is just, it is how it is, your success will never surpass your own personal development. And so if you've got that limitation, then you should adjust your expectation, right? And the one solution to it is to do what you're doing right now. And it is to grow, it is to learn, it is to take notes, and then to take action. And so I hope that you came here today again with a pen and paper so that you can write down some things as I talk about them with you, because this is incredibly powerful for your success and for your well-being. And so first of all, think about why you are setting your goals. We'll get into goals and what are the right types of goals and all of that in a moment, but let's talk about your why. Why are you setting these goals? Why are these goals important to you? Guys, real goals, goals that inspire you, goals that will inspire you to show up even when you're saying to yourself, I am in a dark cave and I am willing to work until I shine this up with my light and my success. You've got to know your why. And I find that a true why sometimes will even make you cry. Okay. This is really important. Why do you have to achieve your goal? Why are you going to be pushing? Why does this matter now more than ever? And it's really important that you know your why, on why it's important for the people you are serving. Why is it important that you never shut up about what you're selling? Whose life are you going to impact? So are you going to keep changing lives if you keep accommodating for 1 or 2 random haters online? Are you truly going to be able to change the world, to impact people positively, to add value, to bring a ton of resources to the table, to give to good causes, if you keep accommodating for people who aren't even on track to do any of that? Probably not, right? And then you have to think about your own why, not just that service oriented why, but what about you? Will you be able to break a generational curse in your family? Will you give yourself that financial security? Will you finally be able to get those things that your heart desires, right? It is okay for us to have the desires of our heart. It doesn't all have to be attached to charity or for someone else, right? It is okay for your why to be about you. And you know what? It doesn't matter, because to do good, sales is service, all right? Business is helping people. So if what motivates you is you, it doesn't even change that you are going to be helping people, that you're going to be doing good, that you're going to be adding tons of value in the marketplace, that you can now generate jobs. If you yourself are able to quit your job because your business grew, guess what? You just now, by quitting your job, have returned a job back to the economy, have now created space for someone else to provide for their family because you no longer are attached to that one thing to provide. So it is okay for your why to be about your desires. And so at first, that's a little bit unnatural for some people. So I say write down both. Why is it non-negotiable that you grow, that you achieve your wildest dreams? Because there are people that you haven't even met who need what you have to offer. I am so glad that somebody thought it was fun to sit down and code software. So that by the time I was in college, I was able to write my papers on a laptop, that I didn't have to go to the library and grab books and sit at the copy machine and copy 300 pages so that then I could cite on my college paper one or two quotes from it. I am so glad that I am not riding around in a horse and buggy, that I have a car that someone took the time without even knowing me or knowing if I would buy, that they built, that infrastructure. I am so glad and thankful that airplanes exist, that ships exist, so that not only can I visit countries around the world, but I am so thankful they did that without even knowing me, because I can also get products there, even if I'm not going myself personally. And so you, just like the inventors of the car, the airplane, the computer programs, your cell phones, just like they didn't know you before they knew that they would completely change your life, you can also be equally motivated and have that vision. Will you make a dent in obesity in the world? Will you inspire people beyond comprehension? Will you rebuild people's confidence? Will you help people generate an amazing income thanks to your leadership and your business? Your why needs to make you cry, and it needs to inspire you, all right? And then you've got to truly show up, because you cannot have $1 million mindset and $1 million dream with a minimum wage work ethic. And I find that it's not because people are lazy. I find that people who have a minimum wage work ethic also have little to no why. If it's just a matter of survival, of getting by, then why would anyone work so hard? But if you know your why, if you know and you're clear on what it is that you're going towards, now it's logical for you to push harder than ever before. And so show up for yourself. Read those books I recommended to you with excitement, with passion. Take action in your life and your business with that same fervor. Okay, it is extremely important for you to do that. And then now is when you're truly in a position to truly think to yourself, okay, you've got to be specific with your goal. Okay, you've got to be really specific with your goal. I have got to let you know about this. I have had people work and, well, they make money. And what was their goal? To make more money. But they didn't say how much more, but yet they were upset if they made 100 more, if they made 1,000 more, if they made 1,000,000 more. They were just like, oh, this isn't it. And then I say, well, what was it? And they're just saying, I don't know, a lot more. And so you have got to be specific. Being specific also gives you some gas in your tank and some fuel during the process. So if I know my goal, let's say, is 100 hair ties, okay, when I'm at 50, I'm like, oh my God, I'm halfway there. I'm crushing it. I'm doing this faster than I expected. But if I don't really have a specific goal, then I'm just kind of like, well, I guess this is okay. I'm not sure. I don't feel quite satisfied or fulfilled. And you find yourself, has this ever happened to anyone, where you're working towards your goals, but you don't have that fun and excitement and satisfaction? You just always feel like, oh, there's more work to do, and like good work is rewarded with more work. And so it's really important that you are extremely specific with your goal, because that specificity is going to open up the doors for you to say to yourself, yes, I'm going to show up and I'm going to show out. However, while you're being specific to your goal, I want you to be flexible, okay, and equally open about where it's coming from and when it's coming, okay? I want you to be very specific and clear about what you want, but at the same time, be very, 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 very flexible about where it comes from and when it comes. I remember one time I feel like it was yesterday. I wanted this dream trip, you guys. I wanted this dream trip. And it felt like a push. It felt like I was definitely pushing myself out of my comfort zone. And my business was supporting me at that time. I was definitely making enough for it to support me, but it was a stretch for it to support me and indulge me. Does anyone know what that feeling is like? Like, oh, yay for being responsible, but I want more and I want to do more and I want it quickly. Have you guys ever been at that point in your life? And so I wanted this trip. I have been working so hard. I wanted a treat. I wanted to recharge, get more inspiration so that I can then keep this going, so that I can keep achieving. But you know, your mindset, you start thinking, is it better to play it safe? Is it better to just invest in the business? And I finally said, you know what? I am going to reserve the trip. I'm going to reserve the trip and let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. And I reserved the trip and I had 2 days to cancel it before this money was due. And it was a chunk of change, guys. It was an expensive trip, okay? It was definitely thousands and thousands of dollars. And I had 2 days left. And so basically, on that day, I called them and I canceled my reservation because I thought to myself, how in one day am I going to come up with all this money? I might as well call now because worst thing, I wait till tomorrow, then it's too late and I might miss the deadline if I forget. And I made this whole story in my head that the responsible thing to do was to cancel. So I called and I canceled this trip, this multi-country inspiring, all-inclusive, epic trip that I dreamed of, okay? And I canceled it. And guys, the next day, in the morning of all times, I made 100% of the money I needed to go on that trip. And because I canceled it, that pricing was no longer available. And even if I said, fine, I'll pay extra, they had given my spot to someone else. I gave up too soon because I decided that my goal could only be achieved this way in this time frame. And do you know what's funny? I canceled the trip. There was still that back and forth struggle. Do you guys hear my parrot? There was still that back and forth that say hi to Zazu. Hi, Pio Pio. Say hi. When I put her back, I just want you guys to know what all that noise is next to me. But despite me canceling it, there was something in me that felt, okay, well, I was responsible. I stopped this reservation from looming over me and I kept showing up for the goal. So it wasn't like I said, ooh, I want to be in shape. I'm no longer going to go to the beach and need to practice being in shape. And just because I canceled the beach trip didn't mean I stopped working out to reach my fitness goals. And so even though I had canceled this trip, I was so torn, right? Because that's the thing. When you're torn between who you are and who you want to be, that's going to be a fork in the road where you have to decide who wins the fight. And that day, 2 days before the reservation had to be canceled, that day, the current and old me won the fight. But the next day, I was back in it and saying, I can do this. And then that day, the entire amount came in just on time. And I've never forgotten it. I've never forgotten that experience. I still to this day haven't done that trip. I have done many other fabulous trips. It's not even about the amount of money or the trip, but it was that experience isn't available that often to do, or I don't have always the time freedom to do it. And so it taught me a lesson forevermore that I've got to believe in these 11th hour miracles. We decide so quickly who we are, what we deserve, where we belong. We prejudge ourselves, we prejudge our abilities, we prejudge others. How many people haven't you sold to because you assume they don't have the money, or you make judgments about them like, well, even if they come up with the money, they shouldn't be spending it on this. They should do something else with it, right? When I go buy something at the store, they just take my money and give me the thing, and that's it. It's not that big a deal. But I have seen people start deciding, well, that person, I don't know about them, or they might not have the money, or they might not take it seriously. And we prejudge ourselves, we hold ourselves back, then we prejudge others, we get in their way, we get in our own way, and it gets in the way of our goals. And so here's what I want you to do. I want you to be extremely specific with your goal, and equally, just as specific as you are, equally open as to where it's coming from and when. This isn't licensed to be irresponsible or, just to like do things in the name of believing. Okay, I'm talking about something I sincerely wanted, that I was in a position to work for, that I was actively working for, and I gave up on myself. I gave up on myself, and I missed out on something. And thank goodness, guys, let's be very clear about this, because I know that there's a lot of need in the world. There is a lot of hurt in the world. I am so thankful I learned that lesson on a trip. Not that the trip wasn't important, not that we don't deserve the desires of our hearts, but the lesson I learned in something that, in a sense, could be replaced saved me when my dad was struggling with cancer. May he rest in peace now. Because of the lesson I learned then, I kept showing up. So when my family needed me, I already had the business and freedom in place to be there for him, to handle more important things. And so, yes, no big deal. The world didn't end. It's just a trip. And what you don't understand is who you become in the process of getting the desires of your heart. You might think to yourself, yes, Ilean, of course, everyone would love a lovely trip. Everyone would love a shiny car. Everyone would love, this and that. And you start thinking to yourself that it's not necessary, that it's, frivolous, that it's this and that. And who cares, honestly, if it is or it isn't? What you need is who you become in the process. Because honestly, the trip is just a trip, and I have traveled to over 20 countries, and that was before getting married. Okay, so trust me, I have traveled even before getting married. And yeah, you can get on trips, you can go on road trips, you can figure it out. It's about who I became in the process, the fortitude I developed, the emotional intelligence I was able to anchor in the moments where it seemed like it wasn't going to work. When there isn't a job where you have to clock into and you're an entrepreneur, you need to have that internal accountability system already built so that you don't stop yourself from showing up. So please, as you hear this, do not make it about any kind of trip, because trust me, the lesson I'm sharing with you has nothing to do with the actual thing. It has to do with, I was at a point in my life and I had a choice to make. Am I going to believe in myself? Am I going to show up even harder? You see it in sports all the time. There's a team and they're losing and they're losing and they're losing and they're losing. And in the last 2 minutes, suddenly they win by like 10 points. The game goes into overtime. The other team was no longer showing up at their best because they assumed they already had the game in the bag and they were going to win. And suddenly they don't have that championship, And so you've got to have the mindset of that player that keeps showing up and keeps taking the shots, even when they're losing the game, because unless that clock runs out, you still have an opportunity to live out your highest and best dream. And so as you're doing that, I want you to also know that goal setting is not a yearly thing. It's not a New Year's Eve thing. It's actually a daily thing. Daily, I have new goals. And honestly, some are huge, very stressful, give you chills if you share about it, because the why attached to them is so important. But then there are others that are quite small. I might find myself suddenly saying, oh, I find myself, now that it's so hot, just reaching for a little popsicle, a little more than a water bottle like I normally would. So a small goal will be to course correct, okay? It'll be to, hey, pushing myself to grabbing more water bottles. That's small. I was already doing that. It got really hot. The popsicles are really yummy. So it's very tempting to just grab one. Even though they're healthy, they're basically frozen fruits, the ones I buy. I still know the value of hydrating yourself. And so that's a small goal. That's not a huge, epic life-changing thing, but because I'm in the habit of constantly growing, okay? In business, if you're not growing, you're dying. There's no such thing as maintaining. If you're not growing, you are dying, okay? There is no such thing as maintaining, as fighting to keep a level. In business, there's only one way, and it's up. But what people don't realize is when they get to the mountaintop, yeah, sometimes you got to come back down. The difference is I'm not going to settle in the valley. I'm going to start the hike up to the second mountain. Some people think, oh, that was a good season. I got lucky. That's when I was young and I had more energy. Ooh, that was before kids. That was when I was single. Oh, that was before I had more responsibility. That was before I had all these crazy bills to do. But here's what I'm going to tell you. Maybe you have experienced a mountaintop before, but it's not your next mountaintop. And so if right now you find yourself climbing down, that's okay. When you get to the bottom, do not set up camp in the valley, okay? Do not join that town waiting for you in the valley. You better pack up and start going up that second mountain. And the second mountain, you now have the muscles for climbing the first one. You now have the fortitude from climbing the first one. That's what you need to do. And as you do this, I want you to think about your goals and stretch yourself. That trip I was doing was a stretch, but it wasn't fantasy mode, okay? A stretch is pushing me a little bit harder. It is taking me out of my comfort zone. It's making me think bigger than before, but it wasn't necessarily a private jet where John Legend was going to sing to me and Matthew while we had our dinner. And it wasn't going to be where, we had a private butler, it was an epic, amazing trip. Even the bird is excited about it. But it wasn't fantasy. And here's what I'm going to tell you. If you push so hard into fantasy and for the sake of impressing yourself when you write something in your journal, then you're not going to show up because you expect it to take very long. If your goal isn't a stretch, it's just something that's just so far out there, you'll just expect it to take 10, 20 years. Like, oh, I'm going to be a billionaire one day. Would you wake up the next day at 4 a.m. because one day maybe you might be a billionaire? Or would you wake up at 4 a.m. because you will not miss that deadline in 60 days? So it's really important for you to look at your goals and say, is this bigger than I have ever played, but big enough that I'm excited about it? I'm going to keep showing up and I'm going to keep doing it. Let me know in the comments if this is something that you are getting and that you are willing to do, because if not, I will unpack it some more. Because yes, I will always push you to stretch, but I will pause you before fantasy levels, because people do not show up for fantasies. People do not have a why that makes them cry for random fantasies. People do not set up plans for fantasies. How many of you have a full out strategy, have a coach, or working with a mentor, are actively showing up every day to win the lottery? Nobody, right? Because that might happen. That might be a chance. That might be good. I guess it'll be positive if it happens, but we're not talking about fantasy level big goals. But I am saying push yourself. I am saying achieve your goals. I am saying move forward. So I'll give you another example. Maybe you want to work out, maybe you want to be fit, but now you're saying to yourself, yeah, whatever, I might as well write down that I'm going to join the Olympics. And look, this isn't about testing anyone. This is about pushing yourself and giving yourself the opportunity to grow, to step into the shoes of your next level. So if you don't expect to get into the Olympics, you're just not going to train anymore for it. Okay. You're not going to show up because it's so far-fetched. No one is expecting you to do that, including yourself. And so check yourself and your goals. And if you find yourself disregarding your goal some, that's okay. Just course correct a bit. You have stepped into fantasy mode. Not a big deal. Say, okay, one day you'll travel on a private plane that maybe level before might be, okay, maybe I fly first class, or maybe, I get a driver to pick me up from the airport, not an Uber. Like there are ways, and these are obviously small examples. Your goals could be about anything and everything, but the point is be very, very careful. Watch yourself that you don't get so excited that now you get in your own way by thinking about things that don't even motivate you. You just think they sound impressive and cool. So what do you do now? What do you do with this information? I say, write down your goals, whatever it is, whether it's drinking more water, whether it's making $1 million a day, whether it is bringing in 2 new customers a day into your business, 2 people a day. Whose lives can I change every single day? I just need 2 customers a day into my business, all right? And then after you have all of your goals, and if anything, you know what, guys? Write down each of your goals, each goal in a different sheet of paper. And I'll explain to you why in a second, because especially in the context of everything that we've talked about this week, when you write down each goal in a separate piece of paper, I also below it want you to draw a line. So you create 2 columns. So I'll give you an example here. So right here, I would write my goal, okay? And then I draw a line. And here, we write a reason why you have quit in the past or what might hold you back now. And here is where you write your strength, your why. So in the past, I quit because I wasn't disciplined and I kept hitting snooze and I didn't complete the workouts, okay? But now, okay, I'm gonna commit to going to bed earlier, okay? I'm gonna leave my clothes out the night before, and I am going to listen to my alarm and I am going to commit. And if I don't, I am going to give it to your worst enemy. Give your worst enemy an X amount of money, or like really hold yourself accountable and go through it for every single goal, okay? Every single goal. Write down, all right? Why this time? Why now it is completely unacceptable for you to give up? Why right now it is completely unacceptable for you to give up, to give in to your previous self? Why, if you're at that junction in the road and you have to decide, do I play it safe and let it go and maybe try again another time? Or do I truly go for it all? Why is this non-negotiable? Okay. How are your beliefs stronger? What are distractions that you can be proactive about? Like, okay, I go to a coffee shop and I get distracted. I will pack headphones. I will download. And if you guys ever go through my phone, you'll laugh. You'll probably never go through my phone because that's weird. But if you hypothetically did, you will find a lot of classical music. And Matthew laughs at it because there's chaos and there's airplanes and you hear, flight 65 is now boarding and there's so much noise. And I've got these noise canceling headphones and they're huge. And all I hear is Beethoven. And I get in the zone and I get in my world. Not my husband. My husband thrives in all that noise and he would never even need that. He just prefers to hear it, right? But maybe for you, it's movement. Maybe your eye catches. So you need to go sit somewhere and work where you're not going to have all the distractions. Put yourself in a position to win, you guys. Trust, that's what I'm saying. It's not about headphones. It's not about anything else. What is distracting you and how can you eliminate that? What is frustrating you and how can you position yourself to grow? Who is not supporting you? How can you find your tribe and never get away from like-minded entrepreneurs? Okay. This is really important. How are your beliefs stronger? All right. How can you make space for your goals? When I first started my business, I did not have a home office. I just didn't. It was not in the budget. Okay. I had a kitchen table. I had a couch. And even then, you guys, because, I like to work in an area where there's not too much noise. My neighbor at the time was an aspiring singer and she bought a karaoke machine. And her boyfriend, of all things, was an opera singer. And they insisted on practicing their vocals every night at 3 in the morning. At 3 in the morning, they decide that they want to sing a Rihanna song, this one Rihanna song that to this day makes me just cringe because it makes me think of that moment, okay? And then they would sing random songs. And I think to myself, oh my gosh, I want to read these books. I want to go through these courses. I want to show up for my business. It's not my fault that this is happening around me. Guys, yeah, there are things that are going to happen that are way more serious than a noisy neighbor. There are going to be way more serious things to happen than not having a set desk in your home to work out of. You know, some people don't even like working at a desk. I get it, okay? It is not your fault that other things happen. And it's not your fault if it's rainy, if your internet connection's not working. I can't tell you how many times I've been doing a very, very, very important presentation and the internet goes off, or the fire alarm goes off in the building and it's insane, or my animals go in full-blown Jumanji mode or Lion King mode and they're all screaming and barking at the same time. It is not your fault when bad things happen. It is still your responsibility to show up for your goals. It is still your responsibility to show up for yourself. It is still on you for you to have it all. It is still on you to believe. It is still 100% your job to think big, okay? Small business owners do not have to have a small mindset, okay? It is still your responsibility to share your gifts with the world, to share your purpose with the world, to make an impact to those people that I mentioned earlier that you don't even know. So I don't know where you are right now. I don't know what's easy. I don't know what's hard. I know a lot of you on this call, so yes, I do know in some sense what is going on, but even then, you never truly know what's going on for someone. I'll tell you right now, my heart goes out to you. I sympathize with you. I have not had some cookie cutter, easy entrepreneurial experience, and that is why I'm not here giving you some raw, random motivation. I am being as honest and as raw and as transparent as possible with you and telling you that even at a time like this, whatever this means for you right now, you are capable, you are worthy, you can crush it, you can have it all, and you can have it now. I am so proud of you guys for showing up for yourself, for being here. I'm so excited to have you guys complete this week's homework where you, well, today, not this, where you have your goal and you have reasons why you have quit in the past or you might quit now. And then right next to it, you write what you're going to do about that so that these goals are no longer just sitting there collecting dust full of spider webs. They are now actionable strategies that allow you to turn your vision into your mission. If you guys love this training, let us know. We'll be happy to continue doing series like these on different topics if it serves you. So please share with us when you have a chance how this was able to help you in your business and what other topics you would be interested in, because our number one goal here is to share with others what has worked for us so that you can get to the front of the line way faster, so that you can truly put yourself in a position to succeed. And so let us know, you guys, that what served you, what topics you'd like to dive into. Any one of the things we talked about today could be a year-long series because there's always so much to say, but this isn't about being a perfectionist. This is about you guys winning and winning now and winning big. And so love you all. God bless. We'll talk soon. Thank you for being you and for sharing your gifts with the world. Have you been loving this series? If you're like me and you are always hungry for more content to keep learning, to keep growing, then I've got you, okay? Click on the link in the caption below where you're gonna get a deep dive training. And when I say deep dive, I mean come ready, okay? Get a sitter for your kids, bring a notebook, a pen and paper, and watch that training so that you can learn exactly how I took an idea and turned it into a reality, into a scalable business, and how you can too. Don't forget, click below.